European Union leaders are meeting today to decide tens of billions of euros in new aid for Ukraine. EU support has been crucial for Kyiv as it fights against Russia's full-scale invasion, a war unleashed by Moscow 2 years ago. Ukraine is a former Soviet republic that now wants to join the EU and the NATO defense alliance. But it's seen recent financial commitments from Brussels and from the United States blocked in political battles. Here's a look at how EU countries have helped Ukraine to date.
Since Russia's invasion, Ukraine has needed billions of euros, and EU countries have committed their support bilaterally and through the bloc's institutions. Economists at the Kyiv Institute have been tracking aid promised to Ukraine by its allies since the start of the war. Military aid, the weapons and ammunition needed to fight the Russian army, accounts for a significant proportion of the assistance. Here, Germany is Ukraine's biggest donor in the EU, with northern states Denmark, the Netherlands and Sweden trailing behind with single-digit billions.
But it is worth noting that smaller EU member states have made bigger commitments to Ukraine relative to the size of their economies. By share of GDP, Eastern European countries like Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia have pledged the most to Ukraine, up to as much as 1% of their GDP.
While the US's military support for Ukraine exceeds that of the EU by almost 10 billion euros, European Union countries are Ukraine's biggest donors if you account for all aid commitments.
So in terms of total bilateral commitments to Ukraine, the European member states and the institutions have since February 24th committed a total of 133 billion euros, which is a quite significant amount. And just for comparison, the next largest donor would perhaps be the United States, which has committed a total of 71 billion. So that's almost twice the amount. Now, this type of aid is obviously separated into many different subcategories. There's financial, humanitarian, military components. It's committed under different types of programs. But in general, the European Union member states and the institutions are really active donors overall.
But critics say the military support has not always been delivered on time, costing Ukraine on the battlefield. Trends show that new financial commitments have been decreasing, but EU officials insist they remain committed to Ukraine. The bloc's latest offering to Kyiv is a package amounting to 50 billion euros to be disbursed over 4 years.
And for more, I'm joined now by DW's Christine Munwa, who filed that report. Christine, EU countries say they are continuing to support Ukraine, but as you point out in your report, new financial commitments are declining. Why is that?
Terry, the holdup here in Brussels is the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who has used his veto to block this latest aid package that has been designed for Ukraine. Mr. Orban is insisting that every year that this package will run, it's meant to run for 4 years, that there is a review process with veto powers. Now, that would essentially almost put in a calendar date for an annual fight over this package. As we've seen, getting it through right now has been very difficult. So that has been a major holdup. You basically have 26 of the others willing to put this through, to sign it and agree upon it. But of course, you need unanimous agreement here in the European Union, and that single holdup from the Hungarian Prime Minister has basically delayed the process from Brussels.
Now, Ukraine's counteroffensive against the invading Russian forces didn't achieve much. Has that contributed to a sense of war fatigue among Ukraine's European partners?
Terry, that certainly did deal a blow to the sort of morale here. I mean, a lot was put on this counteroffensive, but anyone speaking to defense analysts would tell you that Ukraine's allies hadn't really done enough to give Ukraine the upper hand for this counteroffensive. And so to many people not being surprised at the outcome of that. But as I say here, in terms of political will, 26 member states, that is 26 of the 27, agreed upon this 50 billion package that was proposed by the Commission. So in that sense, there is still this resolution among the EU member states that we've got to stand firmly behind Ukraine, and perhaps even that faltering the counteroffensive would have actually given more momentum to that. But of course, the holdup is the Hungarian Prime Minister. Now, there are ways for the European Union to get this aid to Ukraine, but all of these ways are long and painful. To give you a sense, for example, one would be to get around the unanimous vote and sort of take away Hungary's vote in this, but that is very ugly. The other option is to maybe go for an option where you need qualified majority as opposed to unanimous vote, but that is long and has to go through almost all of the other 26 parliaments before it can be approved. So you get the sense that, of course, it comes down very much in today's summit and talks here in Brussels will be about getting Prime Minister Viktor Orban on board.
Christine, thank you very much. That was DW's Christine Munwa in Brussels.